need some. We're live, are we? You say yes?
Yes.
Well, welcome to the stream on the internet from the beaches of Lignano Sabbiadoro. My name is Tom Stiles, and we're live across the world. Wherever you're watching, welcome along. Please do stay with us all day. We're going to be watching the Masters final first, the USA versus Austria. Then we're going to be watching a very good-looking mixed final, which is Germany versus the USA. And then the Open final, the climax of the event, the World Championships of Beach Ultimate, is going to be the Open final. USA versus the Philippines. The Philippines with a complete demolition job on the Italian home side in the semi-final. Those two teams haven't played each other, but they have both played the USA. Sorry, they've both played the Italians, that's right. So they've both played the Italians. USA lost to the Italians, and the Philippines played the Italians twice, won one and lost one. So if you use the Italians as a barometer, and that Open Division final looks like it's going to be a really, really exciting game. Anything could happen. Now we've got the stands filling up slowly behind me. A lot of the players here in their podium shirts, and a lot of the tourists here as well. Lignano Sabbiadoro is on the North Adriatic coast. It's an Italian resort. It's about 3 miles of continuous beach. It's quite a deep beach with lots of umbrellas and sand. And for the last week, there's been lots and lots of sunshine. However, today we've spotted a lesser spotted cloud. There's been not a cloud in the sky for the whole week down here at the beach. Today there is clouds, and there's also a very brisk wind blowing. It's actually quite pleasant to be standing out here, even in a short and t-shirts. The temperature is still quite high, but that wind is just keeping everyone cool and making the atmosphere a little bit more pleasant to be around in. However, this is going to make things interesting for both teams. We've got Max Vitali just wandering past the commentary position. You'd like to say hello to people at home, Max?
Yeah, of course. Hello, everyone. It was an amazing week. We are so happy, and we have 3 great finals to go, so we're excited.
It's a big change in the weather today, Max. Is this the sort of conditions you were expecting for the whole week?
No, I was expecting, well, conditions as we had without that heat, but not that windy. We know this area might be very windy, but just a couple of days, and I was not expecting more than a couple of days during that week. It is the day of a final, so, well, these guys are masters. They know how to handle the wind, so it's going to be good.
It's going to spice things up a little bit today. Thanks for talking to us, Max, and good luck with your operations today. You got a lot of people in the stands today. How many are we expecting?
I think for within the open, the beginning of the open final will be packed. We count like 3,500, 4,000 people.
Oh, right. So there's going to be a very, very big crowd here on the beaches of Lignano.
Yep.
So I hope that all goes well. We've got Steve Giguez just joined us in the commentary box as well. I thrust a microphone in his hand. Which teams are you cheering for? Because you're on the Italian Open side yourself. You got beaten by the Philippines in quite some style. They took the game to you yesterday. Will you be cheering for them, or you're rooting for the USA in the Open final?
Well, I have to say I'll not cheer. Definitely, I'm really cheering for the game.
Okay.
I think it'll be a fantastic opportunity for Beach Ultimate to see how exciting it might be. They have 2 different styles, and it'll be just a great, great game. By the way, I have to say, if US will bring the first 2 medals, the first 2 gold medals today, probably the crowd will be more for the Filipinas than for US, just because, you want to see something different happen. So you always hope for the underdog. But I really have no preferences. I have friends in both teams. My next stream is going to be in Boracay, probably to go meet the guys. And well, a couple of very good friends are playing for US team. So yeah, no preferences.
Okay, well that's very good, very politically correct from a tournament director. We'd like to see that impartiality. This mixed final looks like it's going to be a really close game between the USA and Germany, and the Masters final between the USA and Austria. The wind is going to be a big factor in all. Max, we'll let you get on with the rest of your operations for today. Good luck with. I hope that everything goes smoothly.
Thank you very much. Enjoy the finals.
So we welcome back Steve Giguère from Blockstack TV. Steve has had a bit of a swapsy, and he's wearing a swapped jersey. What have you swapped there, Steve?
The game's starting in 1 minute. Let's be quick. I've swapped for a France jersey. What's interesting is that you won't be able to tell the nation of the team by the people in the stands what they're wearing today.
No.
Because at almost the tradition is with the last game is almost everybody finds a swap, and everybody meets other people from other nations, and it's a very friendly finish to the tournament, and so it's going to be it's very confusing for me because I'm trying to find my own team and nobody. There's 1,000 different nations, it seems. I'm looking for a Canada jersey. I'm looking for a guy in a German jersey now. So it's pretty cool. It's sort of a tribute to the multicultural event we've got going on here.
Cool, and we've got Liz Garfinkel with us as well. We've got Liz Garfinkel with us as well. Say hello, Liz.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
I'm good. I'm quite pleased with this change in the weather conditions. A little bit less sweltering than we've had all week, and the breeze is going to make things very interesting.
Yeah, we could have used a little wind last night. I think that would have helped my team out a lot. Slowed us down. Slowed us down, perhaps, and made us really focus. I think this will definitely be an advantage for the U.S. because they might play in more windy conditions. They might play in more windy conditions than Austria.
Okay, please, the two teams line up.
I've had food.
And
I had food at home. You're good. You sure you want me to do this?
You should do this.
Oh, that's fine. You can stand here.
okay, so the Monsters final
Well, there is when Tony's. So anyway, we've got the USA versus Austria in the Masters final is our opening match. We're going to try and keep the microphone flowing around between myself, Liz and Steve. We've got facts flowing. But we're going to have the national anthems, I think, before we get going.
Okay, so Team USA, it's Alex
Alex de Fronville getting introduced to the crowd. Ben Thielhorn is being introduced. Daniel Rubinstein. Trey Kassenbach is preferred to be called by. Jim Paranella from the Dog. John Sandell in the 16 shirt. Kelly Swirin. And we're expecting to see big things from Kelly. He was very, very hot earlier in the week. Lars Fieldstad. Matt Wilkin being introduced to the crowd. Ricky Eckstadt. Rob Saverson. Robert Johnson from Iowa. Ryan Balch from Nashville. We've got Scott Hills in the 20 with the cap on. Tony Leonardo, friend of the show. Troy Revel. And William Maroon rounding off that USA line. Sort of A to Z of great ultimate players from down the years, Liz.
Definitely.
So you got Andrea Furlan. I'm sorry, Andrea Furlan. David Botros taking a bow there. Hannes Zellinger. Harold Novak in the 2 shirts. Johannes Hilfer in the 27 shirt on the end of the line there. Martin Zeilbauer, number 18. And Mel Gemezi, number 7. One of the shorter members of this Austrian line. Very tall, very physical team. Mike Roush, the 17 shirt with the green cap on. Norbert Eder, the 61 shirt.
Number 11, Robert Cerny.
Robert Cerny in 11, right on the end. Ulrich Schreiber. Number 13. The captain is Michael Zellinger, right on the end there.
Now, just looking at these lines, you can see a big difference right away. There's only 12 Austrian players compared to probably 17.
17,
yeah,
yes, a big
17
squad
American
size
teams.
difference.
Definitely, but the Austrian team looks like the tight bunch that was able to have the early upset against the Americans.
Yeah, the USA Masters team looking so dominant when they played the Canadian Masters earlier in the week, but they were beaten in a bit of a surprise. Very late one evening in the down on the beaches of Gator, further 2 kilometers to the west from where we are now, and the crowd started gathering when they realised that the Austrians were in a close game with the US, and by the end of the game they were cheering everything as the Austrians did, and they managed to win that one in sudden death. Very popular result. Now, Liz, let's just talk a little bit about the wind. What's it like out there?
It's windy. There's a pretty strong wind that's coming down the field from the side the Americans are starting out on. And it also is coming a bit across the field from the ocean. So it's both down and across. And it's quite strong. It's a pretty continuous wind. It seems a little bit more continuous than gusty, but there are certainly some gusts. Like this exact moment, we're getting a gust.
Gusting, yeah. So it's coming from the sea. It's slightly right to left as you look at it from the camera position, and it's definitely going to have an effect on this game. It's not going to be an upwind downwind game. It's going to be a crosswind. But I'm interested in how the stand is going to affect this. There's a stand in the way of the wind, and certainly one end zone is going to be very sheltered, while the other end zone is going to be very exposed.
Correct. Yes, and I heard the Masters players talking about this. The American Masters players talking about this this morning. That they experienced this problem the other night when there wasn't a lot of wind. That the stands affected the flow of the disc.
Oh, right.
And now with the wind, it's expected to be an even bigger issue.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be. I mean, these stands aren't solid, but the disc goes up. The USA pulling to Austria in the opening final of this finals day here at the World Championships of Beach Ultimate from Lignano Sabbiadoro in Italy. You're listening to Tom Stiles
and Liz Garfinkel.
And we hope that you stick around with us all day. We've got Steve Jaguar and Tony Leonardo standing by to provide some colour for future games. The Austrians making a quick fast, but Swirin with a big bid straight away, putting pressure on the Austrians. Going to make a disc across the pitch. Number 18. It's Zeilbauer. Zeilbauer pick's been called. And straight away you can see the effect the wind's having. Michael Zellinger, the 22 shirt, but it's... Zeilbauer, Martin Zeilbauer, in 18, and a foul called. Swirin coming into contact with Zellinger, the
shaking hands.
Shirt. So there's Hannes Zellinger and Michael Zellinger, two, I'm guessing they're brothers. Let's have a look. Number 3 is Hannes Zellinger, and Michael's 22. Definitely a family resemblance there, wouldn't you say? 22 and 3. Yep.
Definitely. They're quite handsome for the ladies if you are checking in right now.
They might even be twins. They look very, very similar. If you do know, let us know. Anyway, so the Austrians trying to make some progress now. Floats that one up into the wind. And, almost a mistake. Swirin applying a lot of pressure. And a pick has been called again. So the disc is going to go back, but the wind causing havoc out here already.
This game is starting out with a lot of contact, but the players seem quite comfortable with each other and seem to be friendly with the contact, not getting upset about it.
No, it's friendly at the moment. Let's hope it stays that way. Giminsi. And he sent it into the wind. It's caught and it's flown out. And not a good deep shot from Meli Gimissi there, number 7.
Did not go anywhere near a cutting player, however.
No, I think he was on a high still count, needs to get rid of the disc. This floated up deep, Swirin chasing that one down, goes to ground, collects a whole bunch of sand, pumps the air as he stands up and collects the congratulations from Alex de Fronville in the distinctive yellow hats. And they're excited by that first point for the USA in this Masters final against Austria.
The difference there in those two long shots, where one was going perfectly with the wind down the field, whereas the other one was going right up into the wind and couldn't, and made it a much more difficult throw.
Yeah, they're trying to throw that sidearm so it curls back into the pitch. It's going to be very difficult down this near side because the wind is blowing the disc out. It might be slightly easier going downwind, but even then it's going to be a big factor.
Definitely.
Okay, we've got Patrick on the camera today. Tape.
The music today is a little bit quieter in between the points. So I was just talking with the Italians. They were asking me how the music was last night, and I told them it was very hard to hear and talk to the teams in between the points. The music's so loud. They said, well, we'll turn it down today.
Okay.
So now there's music, but it's a little quieter. So now the players can communicate and set their lines.
Liz won a silver medal last night, didn't you, Liz?
I guess that's one way of saying it. It was...
So the Austrians making a start again. Cerny sent it. It's going to be curling, but see that wind straight away taking that disc.
No curl back into the field at all.
No, the wind taking it. As soon as it got up above the level of the stand, the disc disappearing out of the pitch, and we have to go. Well, I think once the players adapt to this wind, we're going to see a close game with some clever handling. But at the moment, they've been used to playing all week in almost zero wind conditions, very, very light winds at the most. And it's is it Sandal? John Sandal. A bit of a mistake from Sandal. A disc going to ground. Quickly picked up by Cerny. Cerny's looking deep. He sends it. It's going to be caught in the wind again. And
Kelly Swearing with the layout D.
So I'm not sure he was swearing.
Oh, I'm sorry. It was Ryan Balch. Ryan Balch with the layout D.
Balch with the layout, but frustration from the Austrians as they wonder why that disc was sent. It wasn't an open shot, and the Austrians have shown they've got the ability to play their way around this USA defense. They just need to believe in themselves a little bit more, take their options when they're there, and don't try and force it. And another mistake from the USA. The wind's just pushing that disc, and the Austrians quickly getting away with it there. It was Norbert Eder with the assist, and is it number 2? Harold Novak in the corner with the grab, going to the sand. And already we're saying the difficulty both these teams are going to have scoring into this wind. I think we were incorrect to what we were saying, Liz, about it being a crosswind rather than an upwind-downwind game. It's going to be tough to score up the field, and I think the teams that manage to sort that out today are going to be the ones that take this game. Very, very different tactics. And how do you think the teams are going to approach this, playing the finals in completely different conditions than they've played all week?
It's definitely going to create maybe some feelings of nervousness because it's something that they're not used to. What's been working for them during the week, they're not going to be able to rely on anymore. But one thing it might help them with is it might calm the nerves a bit because they realize they're going to have to be very focused to be able to get in the wind. And sometimes wind has that effect on players. They're able to, the ones that know how to throw in the wind realize they have to concentrate on their throws.
We see some fairly intimidating clouds lumbering all across the sky above us as well. Certainly might be looking that way. Ekstat now with the disc for the USA. De Fronville finds Katzenbach across the pitch. Looking sweet. Ekstat with the disc, looking for Paranella in the end zone. Swings back to the middle. De Fronville lays a disc, and beautiful play from the USA. Almost like there was no wind there at all. They high-five and slap their way off the pitch. Very, very sweet offense from the Americans.
And that was a downwind point, making it a little easier for them, but they still were able to swing the field swing the disc across the field upwind to eventually get that in that shot.
Do you think we're going to see a zone defense at some point?
Well, we should. We should definitely see some, but maybe not in this game. They haven't been using it, although it could certainly come out. I would believe we would see some in the mix. Certainly once the Germans hit the field, there's likely to be some zone.
We've got 3 finals for you today. We're watching the first of those, the Masters versus, USA versus Austria. In fact, USA in all 3 finals today.
And all 3 yesterday.
Yes, they were. Of course. So, yeah, featuring in all 6 finals. Strong performance from the USA. And
it's only about population base, I would say. We just have such a large population base of Ultimate players.
I think the USA Ultimate group ought to be given some credit as well for taking the tournament seriously and putting together a good selection process and sending 6 strong teams as well. You know,
it's certainly
just having the numbers isn't always enough.
No, it's not. And actually, in some ways, of course, it was. I think against the GB, for example, it was a bit of a hindrance because they've been able to play together. They're a small group of people who knew each other very well. And whereas with the U.S., the players are from all over the country, do not practice together, some of which do not know each other at all.
Big send from the Austrians now, chasing that down hard. Oh, almost got on the end of it. And now we're going to see Swirin for the USA trying to score the first point upwind. A mistake, though. It goes beyond him. It's just a little bit out of the reach. And who was that, number 7?
That's Lars.
It's Lars Filstad with the big bit into the sand, and you can see the dust rising and blowing away from the players, dust in our eyes as we're commentating on the sideline. Cerny. Novak. Back to Cerny again. He sends it into the end zone. It's brought down for Austria. Hannes Zellinger collecting that one. At the back of the end zone. It was didn't really float, but it was a good pass from Cerny down the line.
So far, this is a downwind game. This might be a game where it comes down to who is able to get that one break upwind point.
Well, the USA looked like they'd got the turn. They'd got progress being made there, but so easy in these conditions to just misjudge your throw. You know you've got to put a little bit of spice on the disc to get it where you want it to go, but Kelly Swirin was the handler that with that error there, and I think perhaps the way he threw the disc was very low, and because of the stand, perhaps there wasn't as much wind where he threw it as he was expecting. He was on the stand side of the pitch, and we see another one of these discs, a pull going out of bounds at the side of the pitch, and now we can see a zone. The Austrians definitely. Oh no, it's not a zone. It's going to be a man. It looked like a zone for a minute, but all 3 of them have gone to places. They've gone to Mark Mann, and Katzenbach's making a deep cut now. He's going to be chased down hard by the Austrians. Katzenbach's trying to get position, all 3 of them jostling. Great pressure from the Austrians there. Number 22, Michael Zellinger. No call on that.
No, there was no call. It was good defense. The Austrians, Katzenbach tried to get the good position by reading the disc, thinking he was going to go behind the Austrian player, but it wound up dropping there, and the Austrian player had the right position, was able to get it without a foul.
Now the disc hung up quite a long time, considering it's a downwind shot, and perhaps not the highest percentage disc that this USA team will send this week. And maybe they're just looking to get some field position. Let's see how the Austrians cope into the wind now. And number 5 shirt for Austria. Faking left and right, trying to find a disc through the middle. It pops up and it's caught nicely.
The Austrians are playing with 3 handlers back and 2 cutters in the front, giving more room for the cutters.
Zellinger now with 22 on his back. Looking for this nice cut up the line, but Ekstat closes it down. Nice disc across the pitch. Number 6 now, Furlan. Furlan's looking up. He's got a bit of a ruckus in the middle of the pitch. Ekstat and his attacker. Oh, it goes to the sand. He grabs it one-handed. This could be the first upwind point for the Austrians. Number 5 now with the disc is Botros. And he pauses, takes a moment to compose himself. He has to throw it up in the air. It's going to caught in the wind. Stall count gets too much pressure from the marker there, and Ekstat is told to walk over the disc by de Fronville, and Katzenbach makes a cut.
And that was the opposite of the huck at the stall count, as the disc went behind him.
Point block from number 5, David Botros. And Ricky Ekstat, not sure what was happening there. He picked the disc up, but it's definitely a turnover. The Austrians had another opportunity to score this upwind. Grab from 27. Hailfer, he sent the disc, it's going to hang in the air, it's going to be lots of players underneath this one. A misread from the Americans. It's brought down by the Austrians to the delight of the crowd. A pass back.
No, that was a D. That wasn't a misread. It was a D that got slapped into the hands of the Austrian.
De Fronville now, they've turned it over again. It's the Americans with the disc. They put a disc up. It's Sandal. De Fronville coming for it now. He's got the disc. He sends it deep. It's going to be Ekstat in the end zone. He catches it. Beautiful disc from De Fronville. But 3 attempts to score that point from the USA. Not typical levels of efficiency we've seen from this tournament so far. The wind having an effect on both teams.
Definitely.
We're just seeing how difficult it is to score into this wind as we're joined again by Steve Giguère. This is you've played against both these teams this week, Steve. What's your take and where do you think the strengths in the two sides lie, and how do you think that's going to affect the game?
The first time these two teams played, Austria were kind of bringing out the bling, you might say. They're playing a more unorthodox style of play, and I don't think this is going to play into their hands. I mean, now having said that, they've been the closest we've seen so far to making a pitch in this wind. So their other skills could be throwing in the wind. Now, we also know that the European game, as these guys, some of the Americans and Canadians are referring to it as, seems to mean that they're a little bit more skilled in the wind because of the continental weather systems we get in Canada and USA. So there just isn't as much wind. So they might have more experience with it.
Let's see how that plays its way out as we have the Austrians attacking again downwind. All the action going downwind at the moment. And 18 for the Austrian side. The dust rising up again, and he throws away. That seems to be the option if you're going to turn over. Make sure you turn over a long way downfield. The high stall count forcing the mistake. And a little
absolutely. I mean, these guys are skilled handlers, but it's howling, I would say, at the moment.
It's very strong.
You get sand in our eyes just trying to do the commentary. I can't imagine what it's like on the pitch.
It's still a very pleasant temperature to be in, and a mistake from the USA. The Austrians again with the disc, number 18, it's Zeilbauer. Zeilbauer looking for an option into the end zone. He floats the disc up, and Sandal. No, not Sandal, number 6. It's William Maroon. And now Swirin with the disc. It doesn't make a clean catch, but he keeps hold of it. It's Revel. He's looking deep. Big pressure from the Austrians, trying to stop the flow. Revel again sends it. It's going to be deep into the end zone. It's going to be chased down. It's going to be all sorts of action on the end of that. But the Americans walking away from it. Did you see what happened with Zellingen there? Number 3 seemed to just walk away from his man, and he's been consoled on the sideline by one of his teammates there, but there was no pressure.
I don't understand why that man was totally unmarked.
Well, he was unmarked because Zellinger just walked off as though he was upset with the situation.
Or injured, but now you can see him on the sideline there.
No, he's been talked to by.
I think if one of my men had walked off the pitch and left the man totally unmarked to score upwind, I would be perhaps talking to that person as well.
Yeah, I mean the disc, the American was certainly free. But the lack of pursuing Austrian helped out the receiver so much there. He had, I mean, the disc hung up. All the discs that are going to into this wind are going to hang up.
Yeah, well, actually, USA almost blew an easy opportunity. I mean, having to lay out, dragging his feet in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
Yet being totally unmarked at the time.
Well, he was had a marker pretty close when the disc went up, but not when it arrived. The USA and a mistake straight away from Austria. Sandal looking to capitalise, and he does. Just pops the disc up. And number 11 is Rob Johnson from Iowa, collecting that in the end zone. But the Austrians allowing the USA to capitalise immediately on their upwind score by letting them get the downwind as well. And if we're thinking of this game as a 2-point, you're going to have a 2-point swing every time someone scores upwind. That's a big break for the USA. They lead this game 5-2 against the Austrians. Get in the upwind, get in the downwind as well.
It's not going to be up to the Austrians to get that upwind score. I mean, they've come close. They've shown they can do it. They just need to get that finishing touch that they haven't seemed to been able to put together.
I was chatting with Liz earlier, Steve, about the effect that the change in these conditions is going to have from playing in perfectly blue skies and 39-degree heat all week. It's now there's a completely different problem to deal with. Heat is no longer an issue, but the wind is going to be causing all sorts of problems for these teams.
Well, there's been no experience. There's been no practice for the arena games. The sand's much more shallow than what we're playing over at the Jetour. And generally, the conditions have been better in the arena than anywhere else.
So
Now they're
looking at a fast
quite
track
bad
here then. So the Austrians starting downwind again. The two Zellinger brothers combining, but the disc is a little bit too deep. And Harold Novak has to watch that disc float out. And a foul on the throw. So we've got Hannes Zellinger and Michael Zellinger, Steve. You played against them earlier this week. Are they twins or brothers?
I didn't get into an in-depth conversation about whether they were twins or brothers, Tom. All I was doing was trying not to eat their dust too much. But you mentioned that we played them. What I found interesting about playing them is that they didn't have the pace of USA, but they seemed to know very well how to work around that.
Yeah.
You know, when we played them and we scored 4 or 5 points on them, and we just could not figure out how had they beaten the USA with what the game that they had.
Well, they've clearly experienced on the sand, and one thing that a few people have mentioned about the way the USA teams have played is that they've played a good grass game, but the disc goes to the sand now. And a disc to Hills to Ekstad floats a little bit in the wind. It's blasted back across now. It's Maroon. William Maroon sends it. It's going to float high into the end zone. It's going to be Zellinger bidding underneath that. But it's Swirin. Kelly Swirin collects the disc. Read it perfectly. Zellinger, there's nothing he could do. And the USA score upwind again. That's going to be a big break for the US. 6-2 is the score. Austrians really struggling in this wind, Steve.
Yeah, I think. Well, it's actually not the upwind game that they're struggling so much with, but the downwind. It looks like they rely a lot on the long game, and they're just not quite dialing in quite well with their downwind hucks, and they're just throwing it away. And USA, a whole team full of handlers with
the experience that USA line has got. They don't have any real weak spots, do they?
Well, no. They're struggling like anybody else would in this wind, but they're playing very tight. They know the receivers, in particular that one right there. You throw anything up in the air to Swerin, and
he's going to eat it up.
He's going to eat it up, yeah.
I heard a stat, and I've heard two different stats about him, but so I don't know which one of these is true. But he ran a 4:52 mile.
Yeah,
he ran a 4:52 mile, which is exceptional on its own. But he did it in Colorado.
Yeah, at 8,000 meters.
8,000 feet, Steve.
Or feet. Meters. Feet. That would be ridiculous.
The top of Everest would have been a bit silly.
He did it on the moon.
Yeah. So Kelly is a particular type of athlete. And we'd like to say hello to all our people watching in the States if you're watching. But right now it's Austria advancing again. Hilfer. Swing across. Cerny. Zellinger looking, sends it to his... Oh, a great grab from Kelly Swerin, takes it out of the hand.
Strip call, I believe. Strip or foul, I don't know which one it was. It looked like Kelly had 100% of that.
It looked like... and Michael Zellinger just waving his finger to say, don't make that call. But it's his brother, Hannes Zellinger, who has made the call and is not backing down on it. It's interesting to see teams sticking with their calls under the pressure. Zellinger again. And this time, no mistake from Swerin right in front of that disc. And making absolutely sure of the D this time. Kelly comes back under again. Swerin gets a bit of a shoulder from the Austrian. 1, 2, 3, lets it go into the end zone. Revel just short of the end zone. Pops it in with a nice sidearm across the pitch, finding freedom on the far side. It's the number 9 shirt of Matt Wilkin. And Wilkin, 7-2 the score. USA pulling this one out.
The Austrians really made them work for it, though. It wasn't easy. And well, you know as well as most of the viewers probably watching that just because going into the wind and going downwind, they're both just as difficult. Going downwind seems to crush the disc to the floor. Going upwind, it tends to pop it up. So there's no real advantage into which direction you're going. Sometimes.
Yeah, well, it's you just if you imagine you're passing upwind and you're passing through sort of a 15 mile an hour breeze or a 20 mile an hour breeze, you've got to throw the disc a lot further. You've got to throw the disc maybe 200 meters to get it up the field, whereas downwind you've got to throw it through maybe 50 meters of air to make it the same difference.
You can just offer it to the wind sometimes, and away it goes. Austria has that's the problem that Austria is having right now. They just seem to be unable to figure out that ability to be able to just place it into the air and let it hit their man.
Should point out Steve's France jersey as a swap.
My acquisition today
is not a representation.
I did not play for France,
and there's no French teams out here
tonight. There's no French teams playing today.
So trying not to be. We're trying to keep things as level as we can as the teams come out of their timeouts. I'm Tom Stiles.
I'm Steve Zaguer. We're
from Blockstack
TV.
And wherever you're watching, do hope you're enjoying it. USA, strong performance in this game already. This Masters final in the World Championships of Beach Ultimate. Lignano Sabbiadoro in Italy. If you're not familiar with the geography of where we are, if you imagine the Italian boot, follow it up the right-hand side, past Venice, and around to the top of the Adriatic. Lignano Sabbiadoro faces south. We've had beautiful sunshine all day, every day this week, and it's a sort of a big. The whole area is a big spit of sand with sand dunes and trees and pine forests. It's a very lovely area, very big popular tourist destination with the Italians and also with a lot of German tourists out here. And we're joined back in the commentary box by Liz Garfinkel. Your USA doing very well at the moment, Liz.
They are. To see another exciting plays by Kelly Swerin and everyone else throwing well in the wind.
So the Austrians now making progress with the disc. It's a floated disc downwind, just letting the wind take it. Beautiful grab from Zellinger in the end zone, perfectly weighted, and he crashes into the metal fence as he tries to slow his speed.
Oh no!
Has he trodden on something there? He made a great grab, and I think he's trodden on something. He's gone over on his ankle as he made that grab, and he's hit the fence at some speed. That looks really quite nasty.
That's too bad. He had made such a beautiful cut, and now he looks like he might be injured for his efforts.
I'm not sure what's... I think I took my eye off Zellinger just after he caught the disc and didn't see what happened, but he's either trodden on something or he looks like he's twisted his ankle. The USA gathering around him. He's getting to his feet now, but it's maybe he's got a cramp. I don't know, but no, it's his ankle. He's touching, or maybe it's the sole of his foot he's touching. He's walking very tenderly.
The Austrians now getting ice from the Americans that put on their teammate.
Yeah, I think all the players showing a lot of concern for Zellinger. Impressive catch. We see the USA now going to be trying to score their downwind shots, and the Austrians doing the damnedest to stop them. Ekstat. De Fronville over the top. Katzenbach looking. Finds De Fronville again. A little bit of a bobbly disc. Back to De Fronville. De Fronville, nice disc through to Katzenbach in the middle of the pitch. Paranella, maroon. And point block or strip? Strip it's been called as. Norbert Ada getting a little bit too close on the disc. Katzenbach pops it back to De Fronville again. Ekstat's going to be looking to cut surely in the end zone. Paranella's in there as well. Ekstat comes for the dump. Sends it out to Paranella. Beautiful disc from De Fronville just beyond the outstretched hands of Robert Cerny. And the USA score their downwind with no turnover. Lots of very tidy play from the Americans, taking their time. And it was the first time we've seen the USA make that number of passes in this wind with no errors. So they've obviously adapted to this wind quite well and looking very clinical.
I think wind is often a factor in big American tournaments. It comes up in it sometimes comes up in nationals down in Florida. There's a lot of the beach tournaments. The big beach tournaments often have wind, and and something might come up with a lot. We also don't play much indoors, and I think the Europeans play a lot of indoors in the winter where there is no wind at all. So maybe that has something.
I like the indoors, Liz.
It sounds horrible to me. I can't think of a worse thing.
Well, you haven't lived through a British winter.
I haven't.
Believe
if
me.
I was indoors, I'd be playing basketball, I think.
The wind really gusting up now as the Austrians start their advance again. Zellinger, sends a disc. He's going to be catching in the end zone. Oh, again, it just dies away at the end, dropping fast away from David Botros. As he advanced, it was the other Zellinger. There's two brothers on this pitch. Michael in the 22 shirt is still on, and Hannes Zellinger in the 3 shirt we just saw score that point a minute ago, and he seems to have gone off injured. And it's the big 21 shirt of Ryan Balch.
The Americans having their horizontal stack very close.
Sorry, Liz.
I was saying the Americans are having their horizontal stack very close to the disc right now with this wind. They don't want to try to encourage the long throw upwind, it looks like.
And Bolch and his Austrian counterpart having a bit of a discussion. I think the Austrian, what was it, 18? Martin Zeilbauer getting a bit of a handoff from Bolch. Oh, a bit of a sloppy disc from Sandal, but it makes it clean into the hands of Matt Wilkin. Wilkin back to Sandal, returns the favour. Kelly Swerin making a cut under, and a big grab from the number 12 shirt, and it's Wilkin again now with the disc. Matt Wilkin finds the disc to Kelly Swerin. He's going to be spaced in the end zone, but he's just holstered it for a second. He's going to send that. He's going to be caught in the wind. He's going to roll out of the side of the end zone. And despite his great effort there, bidding hard and going over to the side of the pitch, trying to catch the trailing edge, couldn't quite grab it.
One thing interesting in that point was you really saw the players wanting to throw the long throw and actually telling their cutter, no, I don't have that, come back in, because this wind is really taking away the long throw.
You could almost give the long throw and mark under and make it a very, very difficult defense to throw through. But as we're seeing already, the downwind shot just as difficult. And Zellinger not looking at any deep options. He manages to find number 5, Botros, and still no deep options for the Austrians. Surely they've got to send somebody deep with this wind. If they are going to make it count, they've got to make it count with something deep. Botros coming up underneath. It's back to Zellinger. And we've got litter being blown across the pitch. It's a floated disc. Oh, Botros chasing that down, but he watches it fly over his head. The wind just whipping it away from him.
The downwind throw is even harder on the sand than the upwind throw in some ways, because you just can't run fast enough on the sand to get to it.
Well, we saw Martin Zeilbauer, the 18 shirt and the blonde hair, just almost backed off that disc completely as he let go. There was no snap in his wrist at all, just releasing it into the wind. And but the wind is strong, and it just took it away from David Botros. He gave it plenty of height, but it's very, very difficult to float a disc down this wind. And the wind has rotated now. It's almost blowing directly across the pitch. It was coming off the sea a little earlier, and we're lucky that the rain is not falling. Swerin going up for this disc, but a big D from the 5 shirt of David Botros. He's seemingly everywhere at the moment. A good matchup between him and Kelly Swerin. The Austrian Rausch, and a mistake from Botros. He must be quite tired after chasing Kelly Swerin around this beach for the last 3 minutes, but Bolch takes his shot to Revel to Swerin making sure of this one. The USA pop it in eventually, and there it is, and there's been a call.
Oh, a call. Pit call.
Is that a pit call? And as the players are running around on this beach, it's kicking up the dust is blowing around, and struggling a little bit ourselves to see what's going on here. The big factor in this game.
A good day for sunglasses, as even the sand is getting in the eyes of everyone.
Yeah, I'm not sure what the players are, how the players are managing out there. A lot of squinting going on. And Kelly Swerin now.
Wondering if the students at Skyview Academy are having another assembly to watch this. Oh, no, wait, it's Saturday.
It's Saturday.
And it's in the absolute middle of the night. So maybe on Monday they'll watch the repeat.
Well, we'll try and get all these games onto our YouTube channel after the tournament. We want to make as much quality Ultimate available to people as we can. And timeout called by the USA. Smart timeout called from the USA. Just they're on the knocking on the door of the Austrian end zone and just taking the pace out of the game and making sure they can reset and make some progress from here. And Steve Giguère has just tagged back in. We've got Patrick on the camera. Patrick, you're just going to and we've got Liz Garfinkel as well down here.
Hello again.
And Liz isn't sitting down. She is just quite short.
It's actually I was just sitting there. It's actually quite difficult sitting down because there's so much sand blowing that the moment you get below probably your height, you just get a non-stop wave of sand and dust in your face.
Enormous Italian sunglasses on to protect me. It's like I'm at Burning Man. And Burning Man, everyone wears these goggles, which is, by the way, this weekend. And everyone has these goggles because of the sandstorms. It's kind of what it's like right now.
Yeah, it's difficult. So what do you think about the Austrians changed the game at all? I mean, they're sort of traded a little bit.
Well, they're trying. I don't think I've ever seen any change of tactics. They've maybe adapted to the wind a bit, but
I think they have, because last time we chatted, I was saying how they hadn't really got that let the wind take it kind of aspect of their hucks, and I think that's what they've got. They had a great score down here off of that, and maybe that's not the only thing they've really got going. They really need to get their upwind going.
But that throw downwind is not going to work 50% of the time because it has to be perfect, and it's so hard to run that down when the wind takes it.
Oh yeah. But before they were just firing lasers.
Right. Now they're at least
never
trying to
work.
float it down there. But you just can't float it downwind. They really should just be working it up because that's just not going to work for them. If they can work it up, they actually have a chance.
Well, they're still trying to adapt a version of the game that's been successful for the whole tournament, and it's kind of hard, you know. I mean, it's windy, and we're all just trying to figure it all out. It seems.
So don't forget the Austrians have already beaten. The Austrians have already beaten the USA this week, and we hope that.
Thumbs up on twins.
It was twins, yeah. Hannes Zellinger off the pitch at the moment, but the Americans start again. Revel, a disc. D from the Austrians. It went over the head of Kelly Swearin. That was the intended target. A disc from Revel just catching in that wind. He was trying to sort of roll curve backhand into the end zone, but the wind got underneath it and raised it over Kelly Swearin, and the Austrians managing to back that up nicely on the D. It was Mile Gamisi, and he's got the disc now. It passes out nicely to Botros, to Zellinger to Zeilbauer. Zeilbauer floats it. It's going to be catching, but beautifully floated disc from Martin Zeilbauer, perfectly into the path of Michael Zellinger. The Austrians getting a popular point there, and 8-4 is the score.
Great work for the Austrians, supporting what I just said. They seem to have dialed in that downwind, that little lofty floaty that just carries. And even though the marker is quite tight, they're getting their timing just right. And all they have to do now is work out how to get those upwind breaks.
Yeah, I think sometimes if you've got a confident handling line on the pitch, and this is often the case of if it's an upwind downwind game, it'll change the way the game works, change the way the lines are called completely.
That's a very good point, actually. Yeah, because today was our first windy day, and we went from O and D to upwind downwind.
Yeah. So you're going to see them calling, strong handlers going up the wind, and strong runners when they're going to go down the wind.
Yeah, I think it's every time you're going upwind, you're also playing D.
Yeah. And handlers and D is something we don't often see together, isn't it?
That is sometimes the problem, yeah.
So de Fronville now for the USA, looking at Ekstad. He's on the swing. He's got 3 cutters downfield of him. Maroon, Kassenbach. And he finds Kassenbach, who was being face-marked by the number 13 shirt of Schreiber. Could have had a D on that, but Schreiber wasn't looking at the disc. To de Fronville now. De Fronville is got no options coming for him at the moment. Maroons, he's going to send the hammer to Ekstad. Oh no, just drops out of Ekstat's hand. He would have been in as well. He got his knee down inside the line, but misjudging that hammer by an inch.
I'm actually kind of surprised that hammer was so accurate. I mean, that all intents, that hammer should end up in the crowd. I mean, Alex de Frontville, experienced handler.
I think he's thrown a hammer before, Steve.
I think he's probably thrown, several thousand.
And the Austrian handlers, let's see if they have got his handling line on. Oh, keeping it alive. Beautiful dive back. It's Andrea Furlan beautifully keeping that disc alive for Austria. It floated over the top of the attended receiver. Furlan wise to it and quickly adjusting, making that cut. He's on the disc again, and this time he has to make up for his own mistake. Furlan not making a clean grab the first time, but now he's reset, and it's a disc forward, and it's a bit of a rush job from Norbert Eder.
So unfortunate after all those second bids and the success that they were having, saving themselves on that to just get such almost a cheap throwaway there.
The score's 8-4, but it's basically 2 upwind points is the difference between these two teams. And every time the Austrians have got the disc in their hand, they do look like they can make progress, but they're not being their own best friend at the moment.
No, absolutely.
The disc is active again. Kassenbach looking deep, fine to Maroon. Maroon's coming back under. He's got de Frontville back for the dump and uses him. Ekstat now on this swing, and there's a call on the play. And the hands in the air from the 61 shirt of Norbert Eder.
You can, this team right now, you can see they're really from all over. We've got the disc in the hands of de Frontville from Boston, passing to Ekstat from Ann Arbor, Michigan. We've got players from the West Coast. So this team is a mostly East Coast team, this Masters team.
It really is an all-star line that the USA have entered into every division in this World Championships of Beach Ultimate, and we see the crowd start to get the Mexican wave going.
It's an all-star line in the Masters level, but at the Open and Women's level, the all-star teams didn't come out. They're getting ready for the fall series, and they didn't send players over.
Okay.
With a very few exceptions.
It's kind of B list.
A-minus list.
The A-minus list. It looked pretty impressive display in all the divisions from the USA sides out here on the beach. As we've got Kassenbach now with the disc in the 25 shirt, broad shoulders, sort of looks like he's straight out of college, Kassenbach, but he's not. And de Frontville now down the line, back to Kassenbach. Ekstat on the far side. Nice work from the USA. 3 passes across and now forward to Paranella. Ekstat cutting, but it's Kassenbach beautifully floated over the top of the Austrian defense. Jim Paranella with the provision and Kassenbach with the collection in the end zone.
It's like he wrote the book.
Yeah, I wonder if there is a chapter in Jim's book about playing in the wind and what sort of tactics to adopt. Maybe we should ask him. Or maybe he should write a new one.
You get a great receiver like Trey Kassenbach running open, wide open, and just throw the little floaty backhand right into his hands.
Well, I think one of the things that Jim has been doing since he wrote the book is breaking all the rules himself and making quite an effective job at it. We saw some really quite unconventional throws in the game against the Canadian Masters, but it's pleasure to see the name Paranella on the back of any shirt, and certainly to have him out here in this championships.
It looks like the twins are back healthy with it looks like we've got a taped up ankle on number.
Hannah Sellinger was injured earlier as he went off the pitch.
Looks like he's back in.
He has taped that up quite heavily with the old physios have been busy getting that sorted out for him. We see a bit of sunshine coming out onto the beach now, which is welcome, but the wind still very much present. And here's Hannah Sellinger now with the looking for his brother. Finds Michael. Michael's looking deep, but the USA squashing out any options deep. They really are marking that one out. And a disc across the attended receiver was Botros there, but the wind just whipping that away. No float on the disc.
Nope. It would have been perfect in the calm conditions of this week, but in this one, it just wasn't going to work.
And we can see the USA have another crack at this upwind. The score is 9-4 to the USA.
US with their short horizontal stack.
Balch with the disc, it's sent up hard. It's going to be well read by Kelly Swirin, but Zellinger went right underneath it, but he couldn't quite make a clean grab on that.
No, it bounced out of his hands. It looked like a perfect throw to him, really, in this crazy wind.
Rubenstein now, having a little bit of Dan Rubenstein from Wisconsin, having a bit of a disagreement with his partner in crime, and Balch getting a bit of a shoulder from Zellinger, but still manages to ride that challenge and off into the upwind point again. The USA playing so smooth and showing the Austrians how it's done upwind. They move into a 10-4 lead, and with this downwind point coming up, seems like a difficult position from the Austrians to come back for. The USA dominating this Masters final on the Saturday of the World Championships of Beach Ultimates.
Certainly the case at the moment, but the twins are both out there. No, I'm sorry, I said that wrong. One of the twins, the one without the ankle issue, is in. The other line looks excited to do this. Upwind point. Perhaps the upwind will actually work better for them this time.
Yeah, we're seeing quite a different Austrian line. In the 13 shirt, it's Ulrich Schreiber. 17 is Rausch. 27 is Hilfer. And 18 is Zeilbauer. And on the far side, number 6, Anne Furlan. And this is clearly a line that they're happy to put on going up the wind. So far, no success from the Austrians to try and score that upwind point, so crucial in this game so far. Behind the disc there, you can just see the German mixed side warming up for their game, which is going to be starting shortly after this. I think it starts at 5:20, so do stay tuned for that. We've got the open final, USA versus Philippines, after that as well, but it's the Austrians now. Making nice short passes, 2 nice short passes from the Austrians. The good communication from the sideline there. Martin Zeilbauer goes up high and takes that disc down. The time's over, but the point will continue. It is into the end zone. Nice work from the Austrians, finally making the upwind point count. Ulrich Schreiber.
This went up and over.
Oh, did it go over his head? Was it out of bounds at the back?
Oh.
Well, our viewers are obscured by the sideline. The players on the sideline. He's called himself out. So Schreiber calling himself out on the back of the end zone there. And Tony Leonardo grabs. And he sends that disc deep. There's a little bit too much meat on it, though. It's going to go over the top of Johnson. Rob Johnson there from Iowa. The disc going over his head. Tony. But the Austrians with the disc down in their own end zone again. So no real damage done by that turnover. And I think this is something we're going to see in all 3 of the finals. The team's quite happy to turn the disc over as long as it's in the right place on the pitch. And
we heard that for the Americans they called freedom, which is actually the name of a defense, I believe. The Americans a lot of teams have been coming up with little code names based on different patriotic slogans.
A nice disc across the pitch. It finds a good few yards there, but the Austrians are making it look quite smooth at the moment. Difficult disc, and it's down from number 6. Furlan with the mistake. Floated. It's going to be out of the... Still in the end zone, but too far for
Lars Felstad, who's from Portland, Oregon, the only representative of the Pacific Northwest in this game. Unlike the mixed team coming up, which is mostly Pacific Northwest.
So Rausch with the disc with the glasses and the 17 shirt for Austria. Zeilbauer. He's got no options forward. Manages to find great pressure from the USA. And Sandell from the sideline indicating that he didn't think that was a foul. The 2 players on their knees still in the sand, discussing it calmly, which is nice to see. Johannes Hilfer, they're from Austria.
That's Matt Wilkin. from, well, from America, but also from Ann Arbor, Michigan.
And the Austrians saying, no, please decline the call from the sideline there, number 2. Foul retracted, Harold Novak just indicating to his teammate that he felt that was probably not the most solid call that's been made by his teammate. And listening to that advice, Johannes Hilfer retracting the call. Severson across the pitch, not quite in yet. It's going to be dodging around in there. There's lots of options, but none of them are open. It's a difficult pass back into the wind. It's Wilson. Floats it over the top. Miscue of the acceleration away from the defender, Lars Filstadt.
But the wind really took that just too far for Lars, even if he was cutting for it. It went out of bounds.
For a little bit of frustration on the face of the number 7 shirt, Filstadt there. Not quite satisfied with the service he's getting from some of the handlers. A big send, floats into the wind, beautiful disc. And they're looking for a deep shot. It's going to be caught by the USA. It's a turnover. Leonardo with the disc now. He's sent it down the line. But the Austrian, number 17, Rausch, intercepts. Swings across to Zailbauer. Zailbauer's looking for options upfield, but there aren't any at the moment. The defense is quite loose still. Wilkin. Severson marking. It's back to Furlan. Furlan's got Furlan faking the hammer into the wind. He obviously wasn't going to throw that. And the Austrians making some nice passes here, stringing together a couple. No pressure from the USA. Oh, the disc just beyond the Mike Rausch there, having to let that one rise above him. And we're seeing all the players on the pitch looking a bit tired at the moment, Liz.
This has been a very long point. Of course they're tired. That's a big frustration in the wind. Every time, in the sand, and whenever there's a turnover, you have to work that much harder on the sand, and so it just all starts to crumble as you have to keep on running, and they get more tired and have more turnovers.
Disc into the end zone. There's going to be pressure from the Austrians, but it's Wilkin brings it down. And they take it out to further their lead. 11-4 the score. Austria putting together some of their best offense of the game there. But
so this should be game to 12 at this point, with the cap having gone on during that point.
Yeah, so the Austrians looking to score the downwind point. The USA looking to score the upwind point. It's going to be difficult to see the Austrians coming back into this game. In fact, it's been difficult to see the Austrians ever getting into this game, really. The USA have looked dominant right from the start. As soon as they got that first upwind shot, I think it was, 2 each, and they got the first upwind point, and they've really not looked back since.
Well, the USA is clearly handling the weather better. By the way, Steve Jaguar back on the mic for Liz, who's taking a bit of a break. Yeah, they're handling the wind better. That's it. It does also make me wonder if the USA might have been maybe sitting some people, or taking that original game against the Austrians in a bit more of a relaxed manner, maybe caught off guard. They're certainly on guard now.
They're definitely on guard now. They definitely want to be playing their best ultimate they can, and it's Zellinger now for 22 shirt. Just relaxes the wrist and floats it beautifully. Oh, what a great downwind disc from Zellinger to his brother. That's Michael to Johannes. Oh, sorry, Michael to Hannes. Did you see the tiny amount of power that Michael Zellinger put on that disc?
the big wind-up and then the little release.
Yeah, it's almost like he couldn't persuade himself not to do the wind-up, but then he just, right at the last minute, reminded himself that all I need on this is a little put.
Just a bit of wrist.
Sent it down the pitch, beautifully caught. The crowd of the stands behind us, you can see the flag at the top, the UAE flag. That's actually, our cameraman Patrick actually put that there, so he's filming his own flag right now. You can see we've got a few colours in the stand today, Steve. It's all been bikinis and flesh on the show so far this week, but everyone's dressing up a little bit.
This is what I was saying earlier. You look across before, like last night in the other show games, you see patches of colour. You'd see patches of Canada, patches of USA, patches of Spain. Now you look up there and it's just a rainbow, isn't it?
Yeah. It's very brightly coloured. So we see the USA now looking to score the final point for them to win it. This is Kassenbach. Kassenbach back to Ekstad. Ekstad's got de Fronville cutting for him nicely. He finds him now. Kassenbach's gone deep. Floats over the top to Paranella. Paranella's got Kassenbach. He's going to find him, surely. No, Maroon's cutting. Ekstad's cutting. He finds Kassenbach now, but he's not in the end zone. He looks deep. He looks for the swing. De Fronville's there. Maroon now down the line. Maroon. Oh, a mistake from Paranella. And the Austrians can't quite believe that. Jim Paranella free in the corner with an easy pass for the score and the win.
Did you see the freeze? The whole stadium seemed to freeze when it went through his pancake.
I think he squeezed a bit hard.
No one could believe it.
Robert Cerny now for Austria now, keeping this game alive for a few more passes. Nice up disc, but de Fronville with a double-handed Mac forward. A little bit of curl on that disc now, but it's still a smooth pass from de Fronville to Ekstad. Back to de Fronville. Foul from Zellinger called by de Fronville. Zellinger protesting that a little bit. It was one of those discs we see so often from the North American teams. Throw around the body, and if it comes off, great. If it doesn't, then you've probably made some contact, and the foul is called. De Fronville lays a disc into the end zone. Kassenbach collects it, and it's a win for the USA in the Masters Division at the World Championships of Beach Ultimate in Lignano, Sabbiadoro, Italy. They celebrate. They've sent a strong side here, full of legends and names from days of old. People who literally wrote the book.
Yeah, literally.
And they've come away with a strong performance in the wind of the Discraft Beach Arena. 12-5 they win this game against the Austrians. Steve, what was your take on the game as a whole?
Well, I was wondering before the original matchup between these two how anybody was going to be able to deal with the USA, and I think when the USA have more gears than other teams, and when they went down to Austria in the first place, you knew that they were going to go away and sit around as a team and talk about how that happened, and they've got something, like you said, they wrote the book. They knew exactly what they were going to do, how they were going to handle Austria this time, and they just made quick work of it.
Liz, you've been spending time with the players this week and hanging out with them. How much does it mean to players that have played at all sorts of levels to come over here to a different type of tournament, to play on a different type of competition with players that probably never met before? Is this going to mean a lot to them?
I think it will. Anytime you win a medal, obviously that's going to mean a lot to them. Even though some of them have numerous medals already, this is a special thing. These guys are growing up. They're getting a little old, perhaps you could say, and to be able to still compete at the highest level and play well and get tough competition like they have seen, it means a lot. It's definitely, every player that comes over here is different. Some Americans who come here have never played in Europe before. There's been some really interesting situations come up with the rules differences, and actually I'd like to talk about that in a few minutes, which I think has created a lot of misunderstandings for players on both sides. And once some of those misunderstandings are cleared up, they can actually go a long way to understanding what is happening. Can I give an example?
Of course, yeah.
Okay, so for example, in whiff diff rules, as I understand it, anytime the player with the disc initiates contact, that's a foul. The initiator of the contact is a foul. That's not the case in American rules. In UPA rules, or USA Ultimate now, it's almost always the marker that has the foul is almost always called on the marker, because the marker is supposed to stand still, but it's almost impossible to do so. So if the thrower in the course of throwing hits the marker, that's the foul on the marker. Now, what big misunderstanding that's been happening is that a lot of American players will have a close mark and understand that if they get if contact is made, the foul will be called on them, but they take that risk for whatever reason. But for whiff diff, when a close mark happens and the thrower initiates contact, that's a foul on the marker. So it's really poor. It's considered poor spirit to mark that closely, because then you're setting up the thrower for the foul. And this little difference apparently has created so much tension because the Americans are thinking, well, what's wrong? I'm marking close. I understand this. You can just draw the foul. It's okay. It's not a big deal. You know, whereas the Europeans are saying, you're setting me up for a foul. This is a horrible thing. Why would you do that? Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. It does. Yeah, it's a difficult. It's a sort of difficult subtlety. I think some of the more obvious places where the rules have caused a few problems have been on travel calls.
Sure.
A travel in WIFDIF is not a stoppage. The player just takes back the position he should have taken when the travel was called, and immediately starts the disc again. There's no one else on the pitch has to do anything and continue
right.
with what they're doing. And we've seen incidents where travel's been called, the whole team have stopped, and the attacking side have just taken the step back and started the disc moving again, and that's caught a few people off guard. But yeah, it's interesting what you say about the rules and how they differ. The WIFDIF rules have been rewritten a number of times in the last sort of 10 years, and their rules committee have gone to a great deal of effort to try and provide not just the rules but also interpretations
Certainly.
and guidance on how different incidences ought to be sorted out and resolved. And there's even a quiz on the WIFDIF website. We were speaking to the executive director of WIFDIF the other day, who was telling us about the work they're going to be putting into the WIFDIF website over the next 6 months or so. So hopefully we'll be able to see a little bit more clarity there.
And I can say from experience, they sent to all the American teams, here are the difference between the WIFDIF rules and the UPA rules, but there's quite a few of them, and it can you can get so worked up about thinking, okay, I have to go stalling pause 1, and then forget that a close mark is, a problem. There's so many little differences, it's easy to forget what the important differences were. And I think if this one difference, this marking foul difference, were emphasized, I think teams would have gone a long way. Teams would have gotten along a lot better than they may have as of now. And the reason I'm talking about this is the Open team, U.S. Open team in the Philippines,